Alright, so yesterday or today, I guess, I don't really know when I upload this, when I uploaded the other one, whatever it is. I talked about the Eastern Conference and how they've been doing so far, just all the Eastern Conference teams. So today I'm going to talk about the Western Conference, the fitting second part of this, not trilogy, what's a two-part series? I don't know what a two-part series is called. Anyway, I'm just gonna go based on the current standings in order. Yeah, I know it's been like eight-ish games, but it's my video, and I think that's the easiest way just to keep track of things. So that's what I'm gonna do. So starting off with the first team, first seed in the Western Conference, that's gonna be the Phoenix Suns right now. They're 6-2 after going 8-0 in the Disney bubble. They got Chris Paul in the offseason. Many, including myself, were optimistic about a playoff berth for this team for the first time since, like, we'll say 1897 was probably the last time they made the playoffs. However, I didn't expect them to be a first seed in the West, and on a decently tough schedule, too. Booker's playing just like, casual D Book, kinda, like averaging like 22 points per game on like 48-35 splits from the field and 3 point. He's their go-to scorer, and he gets tough buckets with decent playmaking, and he gets it when he needs it. Kendall Jenner approves. I don't even know if he's still dating Kendall Jenner, but whatever. Chris Paul's numbers don't jump off the page. He's leading the team on and off the court, instilling some defensive culture in this team. They're first in points allowed per game, actually, and they're in the top 10 of defensive rating as well. Jay Crowder has been better than the hot man he replaced, Kelly Oubre. Mikal Bridges has broken out for this team, and Aiton has been continually solid. This is a definite playoff team, I think, in Phoenix, and they should be really happy about what they've done so far. Next, you got the LA Clippers and LA Lakers. I guess they're both tied at 6-3. We'll go with the Lakers first. What is there to say about this team? They're barely trying 44 minutes of the game, and they're still winning. AD LeBron are playing like 32 minutes a game. Montrezl Harrell has provided great energy off the bench, looking like the pre-bubble Harrell that we saw for the other LA team. This team's well-rounded, it's even super deep this year, and it's two top three players in the league. I could bore you with stats, but this team's insane. This team's probably making at the very least the Western Conference Finals, but probably the finals and very possibly winning the finals. Then you got the LA Clippers. The turmoil this team has underwent in the last 6 months is comparable to the frickin' United States. They've been kind of a mess. I guess we'll start with playoff slash pandemic P wherever you roll on that side of the coin. People need to stop overanalyzing him. If he plays well, like he did on opening night, he's back. He's the MVP candidate he was on the Thunder. And if he plays bad, he's a bum. Like, no, he's not an MVP candidate anymore, but surprise, he's a good player. He's averaging 25, 6.5 rebounds, and 5 assists, albeit inconsistent, but he's playing, well. Kawhi has played quite well, despite his head becoming a bobblehead due to Serge Ibaka's elbow the other night. I guess he's on the trade block now, like Kawhi said. But speaking of Ibaka, he's a much better fit on this team than Montrezl Harrell was, and is playing well all around. Besides that, Nicholas Batum is playing like 30 minutes per game for some reason. They just got Marcus Morris back, so maybe he'll steal some minutes from Nicholas Batum. And their guards have shot the three well, but they still leave a lot to be desired. I think they need to pursue like a Derrick Rose or Terry Rozier or some other playmaking guard in a trade, whether it be by trading Lou Williams or Luke Kennard. I think Luke Kennard's shooting is, he'll turn it around and he'll still be really good. His defense is terrible, though. Uh, I guess some combination of Lou Will, Luke Kennard, and Patrick Beverly, Reggie Jackson. They just need a better guard on this team. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Nicholas Batum cannot be your three playmakers on a successful team in the Western Conference. Next, we got a lot of teams at 4-4, so I'll just start with the Pelicans. Ingram's been a dog this season. He's been amazing. He's still Van Gundy's clear number one option. Zion has shown similar success to what he did in his sophomore year than I guess what he did in his rookie year. The fit with him and Adams is still a little bit troubling offensively, but it's really good on defense actually. This young Pelicans team is like fifth in points allowed per game and first in rebounds allowed per game. They're still struggling to defend the three a little bit, which I guess is understandable with Zion and Adams probably being paint defenders at heart. This team has crazy potential, with all the young guys. JJ Redick will eventually find his stroke. He's a 16-year veteran. He doesn't just forget how to shoot the three-point ball all of a sudden. And Zion and Adams, I think, will figure it out offensively, stop clogging up the lane a little bit. If Zion can develop a three-point shot or even just a ball handling ability, he's going to be unstoppable. It's what LeBron did. He developed his three-point shot and ball handling ability like crazy and became an amazing passer, and now he's the best player in the league right now and the second best player of all time. But Zion and Adams will figure it out this year offensively, and they'll make the playoffs, in my opinion. They're way too talented to miss the playoffs. Next, the Jazz. This team's in a tough spot. Their $205 million man has struggled against Jared Allen and Mitchell Robinson in back-to-back games. He's solid, but overpaid, and in my opinion, overvalued. Mike Conley has returned to form. He's averaging like 18, 4, and 5. Bojan has shot horrendous from the field and from three, and Clarkson has shot amazing from three, like 50%. So we'll say that close to evens out. Much of their offense has been like, go Donovan, score. We're going to sit in the corner and just hope that you score. The other Jazz are pretty much just being cheerleaders in these scenarios, and Donovan Mitchell hasn't really gotten the shots to fall. He's shooting less than 40% from the field and from three, I believe, this season. They should sneak into the playoffs. Sneak is definitely in, you know, capital letters. But this team has many more questions than it did in last year's bubble. It took the Western Conference Finals team Nuggets to 7 games last season in the bubble, but they're not looking as solid as they did then. And Donovan Mitchell's a star, but I mean, where's the championship potential on this team? Next, I guess I'll go with Golden State. It's so disappointing not seeing Clay on this team healthy, but they're still entertaining. Curry has stepped it up the last few games, and after his 60 piece, he's now averaging like 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. I mean, he's really good. The hottie Kelly, totally a guy's name. They're shooting like 34% from the field and 14% from three, absolutely laying bricks. Draymond's hit like 2 field goals in his first 4 games that he's played, but I guess Draymond just contributes to winning, so I guess he's a positive. And Wiseman's looked really good, running the floor and doing classic big man things as well. This team's still solid. You still got Wiggins as well. They'll probably make the playoffs. They're 21st in offensive rating and 19th in defensive rating so far this season, and kind of lucky to be 4-4. I still think they'll sneak into the playoffs, but it's really hard to determine their place in the crowded Western Conference with, Curry being the star, and then the other guys doing whatever the other guys are going to do. Sacramento, I guess I'll go with next. Marvin Bagley III's and De'Aaron Fox's family feuds are going on social media, and this team is 4-4, and it's kind of hard to see why. Like, Fox has been good at like 19 points and 6 assists. Barnes been good. I still don't think he deserved the contract that he got, but whatever. Buddy is shooting 10 threes per game, but needs to shoot a better percentage. I guess he's hitting him in the clutch. I mean, he had that like 4-point play the other night and got them a win, but he'll figure it out. I mean, he's one of the I don't want to say greatest shooters. He's one of the best shooters in the league. Marvin Bagley III, I think he'll benefit from a change in scenery. I think he should be traded. Tyrese Halliburton has been a steal in the draft. I wish the Knicks picked him. I still like Obi Toppin, but whatever. This isn't an Eastern Conference video. He makes the right pass. His shot looks good, and he's honestly a pretty polished player. He's a 7 assist to turnover ratio. That's crazy. I mean, it's 8 games in. He's not going to have a 7 assist to turnover ratio, but still crazy. Everyone else on the team's just kind of there. You got the guys like Rashawn Holmes is doing pretty well. Corey Joseph is Corey Joseph. He's probably averaging like 7 points a game. Who knows? And Whiteside kind of isn't. I mean, Whiteside's like been playing like 11 minutes a game, and I think he's had some DMPs, if I'm not mistaken. It's a weird team, and one I don't see in the playoff picture, really, but, develop the guys still. Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox. Definitely looking like 2 very good guards in the future. Next, I guess I'll go with San Antonio. Honestly don't want to spend too much time on this team. DeRozan's not a first option in the modern era. LaMarcus Aldridge looked kind of a step slow before returning this year. I like their young guard talent. They got DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, Devin Vassell. I could go on, and they're all going to be fighting for minutes. I hope they can all thrive, but someone's eventually going to get kind of kicked out of that rotation. Lonnie Walker, I believe, before the bubble, was really not getting that many minutes, and that could happen with one of these guys again. Keldon Johnson's been a really nice surprise, and DeJounte Murray has played good as expected. Derek White, I think, is averaging like 9 points per game, and kind of, he just got that bag. Hopefully he doesn't start to fall off a little bit after that, but I'm sorry, Pop. This isn't a playoff team. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Sorry, Poppy. I don't know. The Mavericks, Luka Doncic, he was my preseason MVP pick. He's playing wellish, you know. I didn't take his stats after the game that they won. They just won like 119, 117, I believe, against the Nuggets, I think. I'll go with the Nuggets. I think they beat the Nuggets. Uh, he was averaging 26, 9, and 7 before that, but his 20% three-point percentage was unacceptable. I like the Richardson for Curry swap for both teams involved, the Mavericks and the 76ers, but this team needs Porzingis back. I think I heard might be back in like 1 or 2 weeks. But a second star player plus Porzingis' defense will help Doncic, you know. There'll be less attention on him hopefully on the offensive end and he doesn't have to force up step back threes. And the Mavs I think will thrive. To me this team's pretty much still a playoff lock. Um, Next, I'll go with Portland. They've been another interesting team. I don't need to explain how good Dame and CJ have been, although CJ is actually averaging 28 points per game, so I feel like I have to mention that. I got to Lee High represent, you know. But Covington and Derrick Jones Jr. They've sucked. I mean, they've been terrible. They have played zero offense, and they've not helped the defense on this team. They're 25th in defensive rating. You still have Cantor off the bench, who's 99% offense and 1%. I don't even want to say 1% defense. He's 1% nothing. I trust Nurkic will turn it around. He's definitely had a little bit of a tough start um, to the 2021 season, but he played pretty well in the bubble after his injury, so I don't imagine he'll fall off because of that injury now. This team is deep. I'm still cautiously optimistic. This team's like a top five team in the Western Conference, hoping that they figure out that forward situation in the starting lineup. Because you got Nurkic, who I believe in. You got Dame. You got CJ. Covington is the weird situation. Everyone seems to want Covington, but then everyone seems to kind of regret Covington. He still gets big contracts, and he still, you know, commands 2 first-round picks in a trade. So, I mean, he helped winning on that Rockets team last year, but I'm getting off track. Covington has to figure it out. Derrick Jones Jr. needs to get less minutes per game, I think. And, you know, you got to find, I think, another piece in order to really make this a championship contender, but I'm still optimistic about their playoff seeding for this year. And I'll go with Denver next. All these West teams have a lot to talk about. This is definitely going to be a longer video. This team has sorely missed Jeremy Grant. They're second in offensive rating, which is no one's surprise, but they're 29th in defensive rating. Barton and Millsap are like older and somewhat specified defenders, and Gary Harris is okay too, but they don't really have defensive guys on this team. They don't play good, consistent defense. Jokic is obviously still an MVP candidate. Before tonight's game, he was averaging like 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists, which is fucking 2K numbers. I mean, that is insane. Murray's scoring well. I think he's averaging like 22 points. Michael Porter Jr. is averaging 20 points and looking like an offensive stud. They have 7 players averaging double figures. I keep talking about how amazing this offense is. But they need to fix their defense before a playoff push. They lost Torrey Craig, and obviously they lost Jeremy Grant. And they don't have the defenders that are helping them play defense. I mean, I don't really know how else to say it. So, next, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're 3-4 as of the time I'm recording this. This team's bad. I mean, they're supposed to be bad. No big deal. They're fighting, though, and they're staying competitive, you know, winning some close games. Love to see that. Shea has been good, but it's almost harder to be great when there's less talent around him because all these teams can just focus on him, and he's got to kind of force up shots. But he's been good. Most of this team will be future draft picks, though. I mean, they got 20 in the next 6 years or something like that, something crazy. But Shea, Lou Dort, and Darius Baisley have all looking like future pieces for this team. Really liked how they've all played this season, and Theo Maledon is another interesting piece to keep track of on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. But yeah, they're obviously not in the playoff picture. No one is surprised by this take that I'm making right now. It's freezing cold. Houston Rockets, you know, we're at the last 3 right now. This team, like the Clippers, is clouded in controversy, turmoil, and questions, and more questions. Harden dropped 44 and 17 on opening night with a beer belly. Christian Wood has looked like a legit star and a great signing for this Houston team. Like, so good. Mad respect for him. He's been so good. And John Wall has shown that the preseason wasn't a fluke. I mean, he's explosive and he's averaging 23 points and 5.5 assists in the 4 or 5 games that he's played. This team won't struggle to score, but they're in the bottom third of defensive rating. I feel like that also doesn't surprise anybody. Uh, Wall's not great on defense. Harden's definitely not good on defense, except in the post for some reason. Christian Wood isn't an elite defender. He's okay. And then you have, Eric Gordon trying to guard small fours at 6'3". Uh, Barring a Harden trade, they definitely have the talent to be at least a play-in team and a possible playoff team. Harden can drop 50 on any night or a triple double on any night after coming back from the strip club. We'll have to see where this team falls. There's still definitely the huge possibility of a James Harden trade, um, but they definitely have a lot of talent. And Christian Wood, John Wall, and James Harden have all shown that they're ready to play this year. And that's great because this team doesn't have their draft picks for the next couple of years, so they're gonna have to stay competitive. There's no reason to tank for this team. Now at the last two, Minnesota without Cat, this team's bad. D'Angelo Russell is showing some flashes back to Brooklyn, but he always just shows some flashes. He's never been able to consistently be a star except for that 1 year in Brooklyn. Anthony Edwards looks like a bucket. I mean, he's driving with power, he's driving with finesse, and his shooting is eh. Hopefully he'll improve on that. But a lot of their guys are just eh. And you've had Jake Layman, Ed Davis, Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and Naz Reid all starting multiple games in the first 10 games in this season, and that team isn't going to get you anywhere. You just have to hope, as Minnesota, that you get a top 3 pick. And it doesn't matter how bad you are, you can never be guaranteed a top 3 pick. Because if you don't get a top 3 pick, Golden State gets it, and that sets you back a lot. So you really got to hope that you can keep it and get some more young talent on this team. And finally, Memphis Grizzlies, get well soon, Triple J, get well soon, John Morant, and keep just trying to compete, grit and grind out there. That's the Memphis way, I guess. This team could look super dangerous with another top 5 or 10 pick, though, if, these guys are out a lot of the season and they really struggle. That team would be insane with John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and another top 5 pick on this team, and you still got the guys like Brandon Clark, Jonas Valanciunas, Dylan Brooks. It's a really solid roster. It's just that Triple J and John Morant are injured right now. I can't wait to see this team compete and healthy and complete. It won't win many games with Brandon Clark, Jonas Valanciunas, and Dylan Brooks as your big three, unfortunately, but yeah, I mean, still got to be really optimistic as a Memphis Grizzlies fan. So that's about all I got, and peace out. Nothing else really to say.